Hi lighting friend. Now that over the past couple months we've talked about beginner lighting consoles and intermediate lighting consoles, it's time to talk about the professional grade lighting console. Now, what we really want to do in this video is talk to you and get you thinking about, okay, do I need or want a professional grade lighting console? Because like every good story, this one has a little bit of a twist at the end that I want to bring to you. And that twist is what makes people often get into a professional lighting console when maybe it's not the right thing for them. And so, to give a little history and timeline, just what we've been talking about, we started on this channel here. By the way, subscribe if you're not already. And a few months ago, we started talking about, okay, basic, intermediate, and professional grade lighting consoles. We talked about basic consoles and how those basic consoles are really good for folks who have simpler lighting needs, especially if they want to run things from stage. But the downside of them being that when you get a lot of fixtures, a lot of the time you want to operate a lot of lights, or if you want to hit a certain level of programming complexity or being able to run things on the fly, they just don't cut it. Then we went to the intermediate level lighting consoles. We looked at the Light Shark and Light Key, and we talked about how while you can do more than a basic console, it doesn't take a ton more time to learn. Okay, now they tend to cost a little more than the basic console, and the learning curve is a little higher, but overall, intermediate consoles allow you to get up to speed pretty quick, get going with making some pretty complex lighting, and be able to do some fairly complicated things. However, still hitting that upper limitation at one point that you want to program something specific, or maybe there's a particular way you want to lay things out, and the console you choose may not be able to do that. There's different limitations in both of the intermediate level consoles that I cover, Light Shark and Light Key. They each have strengths and weaknesses and places where they're best, but at the end of the day, for a lot of people who need more than that basic console, but don't want the learning curve of the professional, they really can find an intermediate console to work really well for them. And you can check out those videos here on the intermediate consoles. Now it's time to talk about the professional grade console. I love professional grade consoles, and as a lighting designer, I couldn't imagine running a show on anything else. Now, this is one of the reasons why a lot of people get themselves into trouble. You see, historically, and when I talk to people, whether it's bands or churches or DJs or theater groups, a lot of people, when they're choosing a console, they go to a professional lighting designer that they know or have an acquaintance with and say, hey, I need to do some lighting, what should I use? Most often, the answer from the professional lighting designer is, go with this professional grade console because it's the best, it's what we use, it's what a lot of people use, it works great, it can do everything you need. Fast forward, a lot of times I run into this so often. The folks who are trying to learn this thing just get bamboozled. They're trying to learn and figure out this console and make these concepts work together, and at the end of the day, they have some programming that looks like a mess, some basic looks, and they just decide, you know what, it's not worth making this any more complicated. And that's a shame! That's a shame. And so, that's when a professional grade console is probably not right for you. That's when you should go to that intermediate level, like we linked to below and in the YouTube card a minute ago. But when should you go to a professional grade console? Well, I recommend, and because I work with people and teach people every day inside of Learn Stage Lighting Labs, I would say anyone can learn a professional grade lighting console today, and they've never been easier to use. Many of you know my favorite is Onyx. However, there are many other good ones out there as well. I think Onyx just provides the best bang for the buck, and we'll talk about that later this month for a lot of users. But, so, the learning curve is higher with a professional grade console. That's the bare truth, right? Is that to get from zero, where you literally know nothing, or maybe you've used the Chauvet Obey 40 like I've got sitting over here, a cheap, inexpensive fader board, and you want to take it to the next level, okay? You want to get something that's pro-grade control. Well, hopping up to something like Onyx is going to have a pretty large learning curve. However, you're really not going to be limited very much in what you're able to accomplish with the console. Okay, so what I would say first is, if you're not afraid of the work, if you're not afraid of the time to learn a professional grade console, then why not go with it? One of the big benefits, and this is the secret that I mentioned in the start here, is that most of these professional grade consoles offer a free or low cost way to be able to use some amount of output from the console. It could even be a lot, right? Onyx provides 4 universes of DMX totally free. Camsys offers 64, I believe, and other consoles offer similar amounts or less expensive widgets to get a universe or two of output. Okay? And so oftentimes, people get into a professional grade console instead of an intermediate because you can often get in at a lower cost. And truth be told, this is just kind of basic economics, right? There's more of these consoles being sold than the intermediate stuff, from what I can tell. And because there's more being sold, there's definitely an economy of scale there. The software is going to cost so much to develop, and selling more units helps keep that cost down to the end user, to you. And so that's one reason why you may want to look at a pro grade console. Another reason is if you check out those intermediate level consoles like we've talked about. You take a look at the Light Shark or Light Key, and you say, you know what, this could work, but I would like the ability to do more, and I don't mind that little more of a learning curve. Or maybe you already use an intermediate level console, you've been using it for some time, you see the ceiling, you see where they hit their limitations, and you say, you know what, I'm ready to step up to the next step. And if you've used something like a Light Shark, it programs a lot like other professional level lighting consoles, and so the jump is not crazily difficult. Okay, so to wrap this up, we want to really think about you and your needs in lighting. One of the cool things about a professional grade console, Onyx being the one that I usually recommend to folks, is that you can often download the software and play around with it, watch my tutorial videos, etc., and get started with it for free. Okay, so you can see if it's right for you or not. Truth be told, it's a really personal thing, and it's all about the level of effort you want to put into it and the level of control and complexity you desire to get out of it. If you're okay, you're like, hey, rock and roll, simple looks, let's program some faders and rock, I don't want to get complicated, I don't want to have to learn anything deep, then don't buy a professional grade console. Go with something on the intermediate level. However, if you're like, hey, I want to learn, I want to enjoy this, I want to dive deeper, and I want the ability to make the control do whatever I want, then you may want to look at a professional grade console. We'll be talking more this month about them, so for now, be sure you're subscribed here, and if you're new to lighting, check out my free guide over on LearnStageLighting.com. It's specific to your type of lighting, band, church, DJ, or theater lighting, and it's going to walk you through how to get started with lighting. Then remember, when it comes to a professional grade console, you can always demo it, you can always try it out, try out the software, see what you think, but remember, having the ability to do anything with the console means that it's going to take more to learn it and to understand how you should lay it out. I'm happy to teach you. We've got lots of videos here as well inside of Learn Stage Lighting Labs, and in fact, we'll see you in that next video. Thanks.